a lot of the material that is held in the Fagel collection is not to be found elsewhere, so far as we can judge. Perhaps as much as 10% of the holdings of pamphlets are not found, for example, in any Dutch university library or municipal library. This is a pamphlet which was published in 1582. It concerns the voyage of Captain Frobisher and the fact that he brought back from the Arctic 3 Inuits who were, as I'm afraid was the custom of the time, were sort of paraded for the interest of onlookers. But the importance of this particular pamphlet is that we know of no other example of it. So this is evidence of Dutch interest in other people's travels, not only in their own travels around the world, but also Dutch interest in the travels being carried out by other nations in the world.
We've been very fortunate that a colleague from the University of St Andrews, Professor Andrew Pettigrew, has been a visiting research fellow at the Trinity Long Room Hub, and this has allowed him to systematically work his way through the pamphlet collection, something like 5,500 pamphlets, and to prepare a catalogue, but more importantly to open the eyes of researchers to the possibilities that the pamphlets contain.
This is a collection of working pamphlets, of historical pamphlets put together in the 17th century. There's over 5,000 pamphlets in this collection in over 270 volumes, and they're all neatly ordered to give a view of the history of the controversies going on in the Dutch Republic and of the beginnings of the Dutch Revolt. It's a very precious resource, and we think this is a saved portion of the original collection of Gaspar Fagel.
So what we've got here is one of the earlier volumes from the collection, largely composed of 16th century material, and which has a fascinating assortment of documents relating to the emergence of the Dutch state during the Dutch Revolt. And we have here at the start of this volume 3 different editions of the same text, the so-called Act of Abjuration from 1581, which is in effect the declaration of Dutch independence, in which sovereignty is taken away from the King of Spain. Now, if we move over to the volume here, this is a volume largely composed of political dialogues, anonymous political tracts printed in the early 1660s. Now, the fascinating thing about the documents we have here is that they were authored and printed by a single polemicist, a man called Gerard Lodewijk van der Macht, who was an opponent of the Republican regime installed in the Netherlands in the 1650s and 1660s. And we have here in the Trinity College collection a variety of his anonymous tracts which we can ascribe to him through typographical analysis, which we hitherto did not know about. And finally, what we've got here towards the latter end of the collection is one of dozens of volumes related to printed material from the 1680s, which we categorize as Fagel's working papers. Now, this is a volume composed of a variety of very short anonymous tracts, mainly memos, letters and speeches by the French ambassador and by the States General, by various other authorities. And what we see here very nicely in these bound volumes is that these specific tracts all follow each other in close order. So once we have a memo of the French ambassador, it's usually followed by a response of the States General and then an anonymous tract denouncing or arguing for said tract.
It's a collection of huge significance for Trinity, and as I say, this is a very exciting moment as we really begin to unlock the treasures of Fagel.